Welcome, friend. Follow me. We're going somewhere dark, somewhere dangerous. Most people would never dare enter the place we are going. There's no telling what horrors we'll find, what terrors we'll uncover. Don't say I didn't warn you. We might discover terrible monsters lurking there. Be careful, they could follow you out, or maybe they're already inside you. Are you afraid? Good. Now you are ready to enter the Warning Woods. They blindfolded Reese and positioned him on the couch, his back to the curtained window. He struggled to get the headphones over his ears. They fell at Leah's feet, and she, laughing that they should have blindfolded him second, helped him put them on. "Comfortable?" Darian asked. Reese said, "Yeah, actually it's pretty nice not having to look at your face." "You don't look so bad with half your face covered either," Darian laughed. Gabby watched Darian's mouth, how it twitched as he smiled. Those minute movements seemed forced, too tight, like rubber bands being plucked at full tension. "Darian, could I speak to you a moment?" she asked. "What about?" asked Reese. Before Gabby conjured a response, Darian said, "Sure, step into the kitchen?" Gabby nodded, and he said, "Just a sec, Leah." Around the corner, Gabby whispered, "Did you and Reese have a fight or something? I've detected something like bitterness anytime you speak to him." Darian said, "Bitterness? No, I don't feel bitter, and we didn't have a fight either. You're right, though, something is making me uncomfortable. I just haven't figured out what." "Uncomfortable with Reese?" asked Gabby. He said, "Or maybe he's uncomfortable with me, I don't know. He's not himself, though. I mean, look, it's only been like a few days since the whole prison thing with Uno. Maybe he's still wrestling with that. I don't know. He's just been really negative." "How so?" "You haven't noticed? He's been getting frustrated so easily. Earlier, when you were in the basement, I heard him yelling at the Ovilus. I don't even know what the problem was. It worked fine for me. It's just stuff like that, though. I guess it's been a while since we've been home. Maybe he's just getting worn out. I know I am." Gabby said, "Understandably so." "Yeah, thanks," Darian replied with a disheartened shrug. "I've also been wondering if he's starting to get jealous of me since I have more of a connection to all this stuff. Especially now that Leah's in the picture, I think he's stressing himself out trying so hard to find some kind of connection of his own." "And you're sure we should still use him for the Estes method?" Gabby asked. Darian shrugged again. "Maybe not." "What's that all about?" Reese asked Leah after the others had left the room. Leah laughed. "Just a clairvoyant conference, probably." "Yeah," Reese scoffed. "Must be nice, right? I know you've got your own powers or whatever, but those two have seen a side of existence you and I never will." "Reese, Whitney, is that jealousy I hear?" asked Leah, injecting a foot-long syringe of sarcasm into her voice to ease the tension. "You telling me you aren't jealous?" asked Reese. "You've apparently only got half your powers, right? No wonder they barely work." Taken aback, Leah said, Well, nobody asked me if I even wanted half powers, okay? They're not exactly fun to have." "No?" asked Reese. Leah, forgetting he couldn't see her, smiled sardonically and shook her head. "It sucks. I mean, just look at the pressure on me right now. If you and Darian and Gabby decided to, you could all just leave Ames and forget about this stuff. I know you wouldn't, but you could. Me? I'm dealing with this stuff whether I want to or not. I've been trying to go to college, but I'm even choosing classes based on what I think they'll teach me about my abilities or whatever. Do you know how much I just want to be a normal girl going to school, maybe working some part-time job, hanging out with friends, dating?" "Imagine that," said Reese, oozing cruel sarcasm. Leah barely worked the hurt out of her face before Darian and Gabby walked back in. "Hey, sorry guys," said Darian. "Just wanted to make sure everything's streamlined before we get started." Reese lifted his eye mask enough to roll his eyes at Leah. When the mask snapped back down, she turned away from him. She didn't understand. This jealousy all of a sudden. Why? Darian said, "We should go all out. Leah, grab those other REM pods. Let's put them in front of the kitchen and at the end of that hallway."
Leah nodded eagerly and began her task. Gabby approached Reese, watching his face carefully while he couldn't see her staring. "You guys almost ready? My forehead's starting to sweat under this thing," Reese said.
One more thing," said Darian.
Gabby cut in. "That's all right, Darian. I'll shoulder the blame for this. Reese, I don't feel it is prudent for you to be our conduit. Say whatever you like, but I cannot help what I'm sensing. I'm sorry."
"I didn't know you could sense stuff now," Reese sneered, not moving.
Gabby said, "It's a recent development. It seems the longer I spend in places like this, the more naturally it comes. I won't pretend to have any confidence in this nascent sense yet, but I simply don't see any reason to risk malevolent interference."
Reese said, "Malevolent? Guys, we've been over this. None of you can do it because you're all too susceptible to the beyond."
"We don't have to do the Estes at all," said Darian. "We'll just use the spirit box by itself or deal with the voice recorder."
"That's stupid," said Reese. "I'm already good to go here. Just turn on the spirit box and let's see what happens. If you get freaked out, just shut it off."
Darian leaned in.
"Look, Reese, Gabby's taking the fall for it, but I feel the same thing she does. Ever since we got here, I've felt it. Maybe it's just because I'm more tuned in while we're investigating, but it could be this place is doing something to you, man. Maybe something here." Reese lifted his mask to speak. "Funny how the only one who doesn't feel this bad energy around me is apparently me. I'm doing this."
Leah said, "Reese, remember how that spirit told me and Darian there was one evil spirit in the house? What if it's attached to me? Then I'd probably be able to hear its answers loud and clear," said Reese. His voice had evened out, grown cooler, even slightly humorous. Darian doubted himself. So Reese was in a bad mood. They'd only been home for a few days before Leah's call brought them back to the Midwest. Reese had seemed fine with the spontaneous trip at first, but maybe he'd been more worn out than he realized. "He's got a point," Leah said to Darian. "Would it hurt to talk to the evil spirit?" The REM pod near the stairs chirped once. They waited for another device to indicate where the spirit had gone, but all remained silent. Gabby pictured someone standing on one of the short stairs, watching them from a safe distance behind the railing. She said, "No one ask for the evil spirit directly. Don't invite it. And if any one of you notices the slightest irregularity, we must end the session."
"And no arguing about it," added Darian.
"Fine, deal," said Reese, now actually sounding excited. "Somebody turn on this box already." The buzzing of a dozen flies filled Reese's head, and not from the spirit box. He didn't think it was a sound at all he was sensing, rather a sensation his brain could only interpret as noise. Uno rose from his place in the back of Reese's mind where he tended his subtle influence. The fly sound meant Uno thought the current situation required more than subtlety.
"I'll do the talking,"
Uno whispered. His face appeared in the blackness of Reese's vision. The first time he'd appeared to Reese after the prison, Reese thought Uno had resurrected the ragged man he'd last possessed. That man, the same whose face he now saw in his mind, had silently entered their hotel room that night after they'd dropped Leah off at home. Darian was lying on the couch watching a video on his iPad with headphones on, but there was still no way he couldn't have noticed the greasy, wiry man standing an arm's length away.
"He can't see me," Uno had told Reese then. "But that doesn't mean I'm not here."
A crow smacked into the window hard enough to crack it and leave blood.
"What the?"
Darian had shouted, twirling off the couch.
"What did you do?"
he asked, pointing at the window and chuckling.
"It wasn't me," Reese had replied. "Chill, dude, I know. Is the bird still out there? Oh man, it must have fallen all the way."
Reese had wanted to ask, "Don't you see our arch nemesis standing over there?" But obviously Darian could not see Uno, or hear him. but Uno could touch Darian. Reese received that message loud and clear. Uno's first warning against speaking up about his residence in Reese's mind had made Reese hesitant to say anything, but the bloody, cracked glass firmed up his resolve to keep quiet. Until he knew how or if he could fight Uno, he had to keep him content, which meant following his commands whenever Uno saw fit to take over. Now whispering beneath Reese's headphones, Uno said, "You'll ignore the answers from the box and only respond with the ones I give you. Clear?" Clear, Reese thought. All he needed to do to answer. Darian turned on the spirit box and stepped back. Pulsating static filled Reese's head. A few minutes passed without a single word coming through. "Let's give them what they're here for, Reese," Uno finally grumbled. "Tell them the evil spirit has left. Let's get them off our trail, yeah?" "Evil has left," Reese said, mimicking the truncated responses which usually came through the spirit box. Not being able to see how the others reacted frustrated him. He couldn't tell how much confusion Uno was creating. "Say you don't want to stay here. Say you're trapped," commanded Uno. Reese said, "Want to leave. I'm trapped." Uno said, Good. Hold on now. Hold on. Okay, I want you to say you're not afraid." "I'm not afraid," said Reese. "Say you want to fight." "Want to fight," said Reese. Reese had lost all sense of time and space. He could understand why Darian's mind slipped away so easily in this state. He wasn't sure he could stay in it much longer, not that Uno was helping. Anywhere between 5 to 30 seconds could have passed before Uno gave his next command. "Make them open the portal." "It only opens at the full moon," Reese thought back. Uno said, "Why don't you leave the mechanics of the spirit world to me, dude? Tell them, now, or you and I are gonna beat up the old lady." "Fine," Reese thought. Aloud, he said, "Open the portal." In the seconds that passed, he imagined the others debating whether to trust him. Uno hissed, "Tell them Leah can do it." "You'd better not hurt her," thought Reese. "If I started hurting your friends willy-nilly, I wouldn't have much leverage, would I?" asked Uno. Reese thought about how to make Uno's message sound authentic. If he was too direct, the others might find his answers suspect, if only because they already found him suspicious. Reese dared not even think about what Uno would do if he thought he had purposefully given up the game. "Girl can do it," he finally said, hoping this vague sentence would connect to whatever questions the others were asking. Uno said, "Ah, good. I'm going to sit back, but don't believe for a second I'm gone." "I know," thought Reese. The buzzing flies retreated at the same moment Darian lifted the headphones off his ears. "Could you follow that at all?" he asked Reese. Reese slid the eye mask off and took a moment to wet his tongue. His mouth was suddenly very dry. He shrugged and shook his head. "They think I can open the portal," said Leah. When Reese's eyes met hers, he saw a hint of pride. "Good for you, Leah," he thought. "Enough," Uno whispered from the back of his mind. Gabby said, "I'm just so confused. They so clearly told me they didn't want to go back earlier, but now they do? Why? Could they have another reason to ask us to open the portal?" Reese said, "Well, didn't whoever I was talking to say the evil left at one point? What if, the one that talked to Gabby was the evil one and he was lying?" "I suppose it's possible," Gabby replied, eyebrows pinched with doubt. Leah said, "If we did open the portal, couldn't the spirits choose if they want to go through it or not?" "That makes sense," said Darian. Reese feigned ignorance. "Yeah, but I thought the portal only opens for the full moon." Leah blushed. Gabby noticed her, too sheepish to speak up, and said, "Whoever we just talked to seemed confident Miss Daniels will be able to open it." Wow, Reese bluffed. Are we doing this? Asked Darian. I'd like to try it if you all think it would be safe, said Leah. Gabby said, We can't guarantee anything is safe. Frankly, despite what the spirit said, I still feel something malicious at work here. I think you're just tuned to feel that way, said Reese. Maybe you just associate any paranormal feelings with evil since that's what you've dealt with the most. Possibly, Gabby replied, unconvinced yet contemplative. She doubted every word out of Reese's mouth. She doubted every answer they'd just received, the answers funneled through him. However, seeing Leah and Darian's excitement at exploring Leah's potential made her keep these doubts to herself. Stepping around the headphone cord, Reese asked, Oh, what'd the REM pods do while I was under? Darian said, They went nuts, dude. We turned them off at one point because they got annoying. Gabby said, Let's recap on our way to the basement if we're going to attempt to open the portal. If indeed the evil left, we still have no idea when it may return. Right, said Darian. Just give us a sec to grab some gear. None of them knew how to instruct Leah. Reese could still feel Uno in his head, but the demon had gone silent. He reached the door first and turned back toward the group. Is it safe to open? He asked. Gabby said, Yes, I've already been inside. You'll find it unlocked. She showed him the brass key from her pocket. Darian helped Reese turn the wheel, and the door slowly swung toward Gabby and Leah. They stepped around it, entering the portal room. Darian said, Oh my God. Any of you feeling that? I am, said Leah. It's a tugging in my stomach. Am I missing something? Asked Gabby. Toward the center of the room? Asked Darian. Leah nodded. He said, Yeah, that's what I feel too. It's like a magnet. Reese, let's get set up. Reese dropped the half-empty duffel on the floor and unzipped it. What do you want? I had great luck with the voice recorder earlier, Gabby said. Here you go, said Reese, tossing the vintage device over Gabby's shoulder. It struck the wall behind her and fell to the concrete floor. 2 AA batteries popped out when its rear panel broke off, one cartwheeling through the air. The other spun toward the middle of the floor where its progress stalled, but it continued to spin. That thing costs like $300, man. Careful, Darian shouted. Gabby picked up the recorder. She showed it to Darian. Its rear split from the front casing in one corner, bent too far out of shape to click back together. Sorry, said Reese. Where's the other one? Asked Darian, digging into the duffel. Leah watched the battery spin faster and faster, blurring until it looked like a solid circle, a hole in the floor. It's not here, said Darian. Must have left it upstairs. I'll go get it, offered Reese. As he started leaving, Gabby said, No, Reese, please stay. It's not necessary. She snared Darian's attention, sharing an intentionally suspicious glance. The tugging in Darian's stomach felt different now, sicklier. Gabby was right. The way Reese threw that voice recorder was not like him, not at all. This was more than a bad mood. This was more than homesickness. Something else was up. Guys, Leah said, finally pointing to the battery she'd apparently been the only one to notice. She felt something tap her shoe, looked down, and saw the second battery rolling between her feet toward its spinning twin. She plucked it from the floor, and like the magnet in her own core, she felt it being drawn toward the middle of the room. Fascinating, said Gabby. Leah, because her fingers simply could not stand the tickling electrical sensation any longer, released the battery. It struck its twin, and both batteries came to a sudden stop, side by side, touching opposite ends of one another. Gabby said, The portal is clearly drawing energy to itself. Perhaps something of a supercharge could force it open? How would we do that? Asked Leah. Maybe someone can tell us, said Darian, stepping between them with a device Gabby had never seen before. Is that the Ovulus? Asked Leah. Darian said, Yep. In a room with this much energy, this thing should work flawlessly. Uno whispered in Reese's head. They're suspicious of you. Show some enthusiasm. Convince them you're on their team. I am on their team, thought Reese, to which Uno just laughed. Aloud, Reese said, For sure, let's fire it up. Okay, said Darian. What should we ask first? Did anyone follow us down here? Gabby asked. The Ovulus displayed the words, everyone and here, which it also read aloud in a robotic voice. Do you want us to open the portal so you can go back through? Darian asked. The screen flashed partial words that never fully formed until the Ovulus finally said, Please, open. They're fighting me, Uno whispered. What was that about? Asked Leah. There's probably just too many of them speaking at once, said Reese. Uno laughed. Good boy. Gabby took the next question. What is the relationship between the moon and this portal? A sequence of words from the Ovulus. Heal, cleanse, restore. The moonlight heals, cleanses, and restores what? Asked Darian. I'm giving them the truth. Part of it, anyway, whispered Uno. What truth? Reese asked. The Ovulus. Everything unified. While the others attempted to interpret these stilted answers, Uno continued. Tell me, Reese, doesn't your soul feel at peace when you stare up at a full moon? Don't you feel it inside you? If you stare at the sun, it hurts. It'll burn up your eyes. But the moon you can stare at for hours on end. The moon sure influences a lot for an inanimate object, don't you think? The oceans, human behavior, the very axis of the Earth. You might say the Earth benefits too much from it to believe it exists by chance. It is the dot of yang inside the Earth's yin. There was a time when the Earth existed in perfect harmony with the universe, a time before your kind covered this planet in structures like this one, burying most of the portals through which the moon could sterilize infections growing on the other side. Many spirits escape during the full moon to bask in its glory. You'll find portals under most haunted structures for this reason. But why am I telling you this? Why? Reese accidentally asked aloud. Fortunately, his question served as a perfect response to something Gabby had just said. Well, we need to look at what's been presented so far, she replied. Reese nodded in agreement. Uno began to speak again. The fate that approaches, the one I want to stop from destroying the Earth, has been able to get so close because the moon no longer shines through enough. It's a malignant tumor that you've allowed to grow. Reese, said Darian. Blinking, Reese said, Sorry, what? You feeling okay? You're like spacing out during a pretty intense moment here, Darian replied. Reese sighed. My bad, just processing. To me, it seems like the spirits are saying, Uno's voice whispering, telling Reese what to say. They want to go back to the fifth dimension so they can be purified by it. Makes sense, right? Maybe, said Darian. It is a very, pure place. Is that true? Is that why you want us to open the portal early? Gabby asked. She snapped her finger. Yes, I've got it. They need the portal opened early to cleanse them of the evil that was here and left. The Ovulus responded, Correct, as the same word rung inside Reese's head. It's time to open up that portal, whispered Uno. Reese said, Well, let's not waste any time, right? How do we supercharge this thing? Sorry, how does Leah supercharge this thing? I guess I'll just try, said Leah. Tap into that feeling in your gut, said Darian. And please don't strain too hard, warned Gabby. Leah took a deep breath and closed her eyes. She held out her hands, mimicking 11, the girl with mysterious powers in Stranger Things, but immediately felt silly and put them down, laughing. Guys, I really have no idea what I'm doing. Concentrate on those batteries, Gabby suggested. Try this. In your mind's eye, picture them falling through the floor, leaving this plane of existence, disappearing into the great beyond. This won't be too pleasant, Uno said to Reese. Reese asked him, What won't? He received, in answer, nauseating stomach pain. His limbs chilled like his core sucked all the blood from them. Darian and Gabby noticed him wince, then sway, but Leah had already closed her eyes again. She followed Gabby's instructions, focusing on the batteries with her mind's eye and imagining a hole opening beneath them. She envisioned the immersive space Darian had once described to her, a world made of bright, colorful shapes, swallowing the batteries through the floor. Reese stoically resisted the urge to curl into a ball. He felt his energy draining outward toward the middle of the room, like Uno had opened a drain in his forehead. Before his brother or Gabby could say anything to him, an unnatural darkness grew outward from the batteries, stealing their attention. It's working, Leah, Gabby encouraged. Keep going. Leah cried. I don't know if I can. I'm getting tired. The Ovulus, preceded by Uno's voice in Reese's head, said, Keep going. Get ready for a little more, Uno told him. Reese braced as the tugging in his midsection increased. The sensation of wind passing through his skull intensified. The swelling darkness became thick enough to qualify as a shadow, and at its outer edges, a purple hue began to glow. Darian shouted, It's working, I feel it. Spirits, said Gabby. Go quickly, the portal is open. The growing darkness tinted the floor beneath their feet. Gabby stepped away, pressing her back against the wall. Reese and Darian remained on either side of Leah. Gabby shunned the urge to pull them back. She couldn't risk distracting Leah when her act clearly required every molecule of concentration she possessed. The dimension Leah envisioned melted away, yielding to a landscape more vast than she possibly could have imagined. Curved walls made of fractal, shifting colors engulfed her. The walls appeared to have infinite depth, like a hall of mirrors. Darian stepped back into the open doorway, leaning against the wall as he whispered to Gabby, She did it. He tapped Reese on the shoulder. He tapped harder. Reese wouldn't move. Darian grabbed his shirt. Uno commanded Reese to stay put. The other spirits are fighting me, but combining our strength, I'll push them through. Why? Reese asked. Professor Pons intends to stay in this house. Can't have them whispering to her after we leave, can we? Reese heard a chorus of screams, shrieks, and pleas for mercy in the back of his mind and felt them blow through the opening in his head. A vicious snarling pursued them until every other voice went silent. The snarling gave way to Uno's voice. They're gone, but Leah's not finished yet. Streaks of purple light flew like missiles past Leah, some through her body, which no longer resembled anything physical. She'd become white light, and other lights of various colors were gathering around her. Leah turned to see the purple missiles' target. They wove around floating shapes breaking free from the walls. Deeper into infinity, the walls had started to dissolve. A swelling blackness swallowed their floating pieces, and into this blackness the missiles flew. They did not explode, rather joined a pulsing cloud of purple light in the middle of the darkness. The cloud composed a vague figure, exactly like Crystal and Darian had described what they now called the Fate. No doubt it was nearer than when they saw it, though. Near enough that in the center of the cloud, Leah saw something which they certainly would have described. A structure. A skeleton similar to a human's, complete with a vacant skull. And no more was a person's skeleton their entire being than was this skeleton the total entity. Its body was the darkness. The purple lights, antibodies, Leah thought, attacked it with a subharmonic fury. The fate persisted, hampered, but far from obstructed. Leah was watching more purple streaks join the futile battle when she noticed the hollow eye sockets of the fate upon her. They lit up. An acidic green light crescendoed behind them until 2 bolts shot forth and enveloped her. The sudden sensation startled her but caused no pain. No pleasure either, but something closer to it. The beams energized her, caused her skin to hum like the first time she drank a cup of coffee. Darian tugged at Reese's shirt. Reese escaped his brother's grasp, twisting toward Leah. Taking action so unexpected Darian thought it might be a hallucination brought on by the active portal, Reese put his mouth over Leah's nose and pushed her against the wall. Emerging from her waking dream, Leah shouted and tried to push Reese off, but he held himself to her, breathing deeply with his lips sealed around the center of her face. Darian wrapped his arms around him. Leah tried to take a breath, and he heard it sucked upward by Reese's vacuuming lungs. The mental wall preventing him from causing physical harm to his own brother shattered. His left hand curled into a fist and jabbed Reese's side just below the ribs. Reese released a burst of Leah's breath, and Darian slammed him to the floor. Gabby swooped in to pull Leah away. The portal and shadows faded until they all stood in the same plain room they'd entered. "No, stay down," Darian growled as Reese tried to wriggle free. He locked his hips down and pressed his forearms against Reese's chest. "I'm sorry," Reese wheezed. "Why the hell did you do that?" Darian asked, then whipped around immediately to ask Leah, "What did he do to you?" Leah heaved, still unable to speak. Reese pleaded, "It was something to do with the portal, Darian. Something made me do that. I don't even know why. All of a sudden I was on her and..." "Reese," Gabby said, "what made you do it?" In Reese's head, Uno laughed. Reese could feel him coursing with power he'd zapped from his daughter. Reese saw it all. The approaching fate, how it noticed Leah, how it charged her with green energy until her white light glowed the same hue. Uno had stolen this charge from her, sucked it out with her breath, and now the inside of Reese's mind glowed green, and the only reason Reese was not being bent to Uno's powerful will was that Uno allowed him to remain in control of himself. Uno needed not voice this to him. Reese could feel it. The threat. The toe the line or else. But staring into his brother's bewildered face, sensing Leah's constrained emotions, and feeling Gabby's dissecting gaze upon him, he started to say, "I'm strong enough to knock this whole house down the hill now, boy. Test me," Uno's voice whispered. Reese faked a cough, convincing enough that Darian let him sit up. He said, "It was the fate. The fate made me do it, but I don't know why." "I think I do," said Leah, heavy with accusation. Reese's eyes flashed at her. She'd never noticed how green they were before. Then they turned brown. "Darian," she said, "you should probably get him out of here." Darian nodded, checking with Gabby, who nodded as well. He helped Reese up. "Come on, man. Tell me about what happened in the car. Gabby, I'll be in touch later." "Be safe," Gabby replied, watching them carefully as they left the room. Darian yelled back, "I'll come back for the gear later." "That's fine," said Gabby. The portal room felt cold now. It seemed small. Of course it did. Leah had just witnessed an infinity of colors and shapes. The traumatic way she'd been ripped from that reality made it difficult for her to trust her surroundings. If Gabby told her she was dreaming, she would have believed without question. Instead, Gabby said, "Tell me what really just happened." Leah described what she saw through the portal, including the green light from the Fate's eyes charging her spirit body and the way it made her feel, how she no longer felt the caffeine buzz or any trace of that energy inside her. She told Gabby she'd felt it stolen when Reese attacked her. "But where is it now?" asked Gabby. "In Reese?" Leah looked toward the door. "Maybe we shouldn't have let them leave alone." "Darian can handle his brother," Gabby replied. "Besides, it will be best for them to get away from this." She gestured to the center of the room. "Oh my God," said Leah. "The batteries!" If she needed any more proof the portal had been real, she didn't. The empty floor provided it. "It was all real," she whispered. She turned her head toward Gabby so quickly her hair fell over her face. She blew it away, then asked, "Okay, seriously, what about Reese? What if Uno—" Gabby said, "The boys explained what happened at the prison with Uno Doe and those—" she winced, "bugs. I'd like to hear it from your perspective, though. In their version, you all drove away uninjured, left that place and its malevolent inmate behind." Leah said, "Well, yeah, we assumed Uno crawled away with that swarm. You don't think—" "I suspected his presence as soon as I came upstairs the first time," said Gabby. She reached around to the back pocket of her jeans and brought out the second tape recorder. She blushed slightly and gave Leah a sheepish look that made Leah feel closer to her. "Why?" Leah laughed. "Why didn't you say you actually had it?" "Because of my suspicions," Gabby confirmed. "If our worst fear is true and Uno has taken hold of Reese, I wanted Reese to remain oblivious of my awareness. I expressed my concern to Darian to see if he suspected anything, but I don't think it's a conclusion he'll accept without hard evidence. Understandably, he trusts his brother too much." "Well," said Leah, "let's hear it, I guess." This is what they heard. Darian.
Okay, what should we ask first?
Gabby.
Did anyone follow us down here?
The Ovulus.
Everyone here?
Darian.
Do you want us to open the portal so you can go back through?
A muted, echoey voice.
He's silencing us.
Another similar voice, only higher.
Don't listen.
The Ovulus.
Please, open.
At the same time, a distorted male voice spoke the same words, adding
It.
to the end. The first muted, echoey voice.
No, listen.
Leah.
What was that about?
Reese.
There's probably just too many of them speaking at once.
Gabby.
What is the relationship between the moon and this portal?
The distorted voice.
It heals and cleanses. It restores.
The Ovulus.
Heal, cleanse, restore.
Darian.
The moonlight heals, cleanses, and restores what?
The distorted voice.
Everything. It unifies this world with the next.
The Ovulus.
Everything unified.
Gabby.
I'm a little tired of these partial responses.
Leah.
Yeah, how can we be sure we're interpreting them the right way?
Darian.
We can't completely. That's part of what makes the Estes method better. It puts the person more in tune with what they're hearing, so we usually get fuller responses.
Gabby.
I suppose for now we shouldn't focus on what we might be missing and concentrate instead on what we've learned.
Reese.
Why?
Gabby.
Well, we need to look at what's been presented so far.
Pounding on the wall, sounding like the fists of multiple people desperate to be noticed. Darian.
Reese.
Reese.
Sorry, what?
Darian.
You feeling okay? You're like spacing out at a pretty intense moment here.
Reese.
My bad. Just processing. To me, it seems like the spirits are saying they want to go back to the fifth dimension so they can be purified by it. Makes sense, right?
Darian.
Maybe. It is a very pure place.
Gabby.
Is that true? Is that why you want us to open the portal early?
The snap of her fingers.
Yes, I've got it. They need the portal opened early to cleanse them of the evil that was here and left.
The distorted voice.
Correct.
The Ovilus.
Correct.
The distorted voice.
Open the portal and let us all.
The tape ended. That voice, said Leah. It must belong to the evil one they warned us about, said Gabby. Leah, staring at the recorder in disbelief, said, Yeah, but it was Uno. Uno Doe was the evil spirit with us here tonight, Gabby processed aloud. Leah said, But Reese isn't acting like the other, Uno's last body. He still seems like Reese, just, more negative and jealous. Except for the part where he attacked you, Gabby pointed out. Leah said, Yeah, there's that. After spending a moment in reserved thought, Gabby said, It's only the beginning. There might still be time to save him. Upstairs, they heard the front door slam shut. Footsteps pounded down the stairs. Leah and Gabby hurried into the hallway and found Darian at the base of the stairs, panting and staring at them, eyes wide, one with a small cut below it, bleeding down his cheek. What happened? Gabby asked. Darian said, He attacked me. He took the car and he's gone. You made it out. Congratulations. If you enjoyed the story, please rate, review, or subscribe. For early, ad-free episodes and behind-the-scenes episodes I call Into the Woods, become a patron at patreon.com/thewarningwoods. You can also support the show by purchasing merch. The merch store and Patreon links are in this episode's description. To stay up to date, follow me on Instagram and TikTok at The Warning Woods. And when you feel ready, meet me here for another journey into the Warning Woods. Thank you for listening.